So services export rely heavily on expertise, knowledge, and intellectual property, right? And so that is to say, not everybody here is going to export goods. Not everybody here is going to need to buy equipment or rent a warehouse and pack equipment, there, or pack commodities there. Some of you can simply export the skills you have. If you're an accountant, you can export that service. If you know how to write projects, I know a friend whose wife used to, now they live in the UK, but when they were living here in Nigeria, they used to write projects for university students in the UK. Wow. And they were being paid in pounds. Wow. They were simply sitting in their home without an office and raking in pounds. So they were exporting. So what is that skill that you have that people overseas can actually pay for? Cash into that and start making money. A lot of you don't know about freelance platforms like Fiverr, Upwork. There's so many of them where you can actually go and advertise your skills and people will pay you overseas to do those jobs. If you know how to create websites, you know how to do video editing, you're a data scientist, you do data analysis, you know how to do, you're into cyber security and all of that. You can live in Nigeria. Now, let me shock you. A lot of these boys are not Yahoo boys. Start saying that, really. No, not Yahoo boys. Their office is their computer, and that's why they need to take their computer along with them wherever they go. And because of the ignorance of the Nigerian police, they tag them Yahoo boys. Yes, I agree that the Yahoo boys still use computers. But a lot of these ones don't do anything fraudulent at all. Right? They're just doing freelance jobs and making a lot of. Can you imagine that there are young men who are making $5,000 a month? So how will you tell that person to go overseas and go and start looking for a caregiver job in the UK? Why? Why does he need that? He earns enough that there's no country, no embassy that will not give him a visa. Right? So you need to look into that. It's all part of export. Right? So, and recently, NEPC created a department, I believe, that deals with service export, and Mr. Jackson is in charge of that, department. So it's something you have to look into. So then you have direct export. Direct export, of course, when a company based in one country sells its products directly to customers or businesses in another country. That definition is quite simple. So we move on. Indirect export. Indirect export involves the sales of products to an intermediary or a third party in the domestic market. Right? Who then exports the goods to the foreign customer. Madam Asai. So what you're doing is indirect exporting. Right? So when you sell to that company who's going to export, you have indirectly exported because you've sold to an exporter who will take the same commodities and actually ship them overseas. Re-export. You have re-export. Re-export refers to the export of products that were previously imported into a country. In this scenario, the imported goods undergo minimal. I don't want to talk about that. Because what happens is that when you do that, you're making money for the originating country. And so that's not what we're promoting in any of these. So we move on. Virtual export. Virtual export, also known as digital export or e-export, pertains to the export of digital products and services delivered electronically. Right? I know people in Nigeria who are making six figures in dollars just creating digital products, trainings, right? There are people who are just packaging trainings and selling them online, right? How many of you know about Seller? You've heard about Seller? You've heard about Expertnaire, yes. Right? Right. So people create digital products, launch them on those websites. People buy them in Nigeria, but people overseas also buy them and pay them in hard currencies, right? So that is e-gaining exporting. Right. And Agaba? Oh, yeah. Now, sourcing export commodities in Nigeria, importance and strategies for companies. Introduction. Sourcing export commodities is a vital skill for companies seeking to engage in international trade. Nigeria, with its rich natural resources and diverse agricultural sector, offers significant export potential. This paper explores the importance of sourcing export commodities in Nigeria and provides strategies for companies to develop and leverage these skills to their advantage. Number one, the importance of sourcing export commodities. Diversification and revenue generation, again, keeps reoccurring. Everything about export is about diversification and revenue generation, right? Japan is making a lot of money through export. you've heard Peter we talk about Holland, that has a very minute, landmass compared to what Nigeria has, and yet their GDP is almost 3, 4, 5 times that of Nigeria. How is that possible? How is that possible? It's about innovation, right? It's about having political will and the right knowledge to actually create something out of nothing, right?